And handing it back to Beth.
All right, thanks everybody. All right, so we have a very special speaker who is here to close out our day, and I'm really, really excited about this. When we were putting this event together, here, I'm gonna put this one down and go actually speak. That's better. When we were putting this event together today, we were like, who's going to be the one who closes out the day for us? And I was like, we need somebody big, right? We need a really big name to come in and finish the day for us. And I'm so excited and just so honored that we have Congresswoman Susan Delbenny here to speak with us. Congressman Delbenny represents Washington's 1st Congressional District, which stands from Northeast King County to the Canadian border and includes parts of King, Snohomish, Skagit, and Whatcom counties. And I used to live in the 1st Congressional District in Edmonds, but now I just got redistricted back into Jim McDermott's district because I'm in that middle of North Seattle. So anyway, Susan takes on a wide range of challenges both in Congress and in the 1st District, serving on the House Agricultural Committee and the House Judiciary Committee. She worked in biotechnology research before earning an MBA from the University of Washington, go Huskies, and embarking on a successful career as a technology leader and innovator. Susan has fought to increase our nation's investment in medical research at the National Institutes of Health and other federal agencies in order to maintain America's role as a global leader in groundbreaking discoveries and accelerate the speed with which new cures, treatments, and vaccines are developed, which is something I think is really close to the hearts of everybody in this room. She led more than 100 House members in urging the Appropriations Committee to provide NIH at least $32 billion in 2016, which is the $2 billion increase that we've been talking about, and has succeeded in securing that funding level. The Congresswoman knows what it will take to ensure that our nation and this region lead in creating high-wage 21st century jobs, great educational opportunities for our children, and ongoing training for adults, a financial system that is fair, strong, and transparent, incentives that foster research, innovation, and entrepreneurship, and a healthcare system that works for everyone, especially us patients. So I am honored to introduce Congresswoman Delbenny.
Thanks for inviting me. Someone from the east side too. I'm so happy to hear that the east side is included in the greater Seattle area. But it is truly an honor to be with you here today, and it's not too bad outside yet, so don't worry about rushing out. But as Beth said, I started my career doing biomedical research. I was a bio major in college, and I worked at Oregon Health Sciences University and up here at a biotech company not far away called Zymogenetics, doing research, immunology research and cancer research. And so, it's incredibly important to me that we have this conversation on advocacy, because really some of the great breakthroughs that we've seen have been because of basic funding that has come from basic government funding of research. I worked on NIH grants and NSF grants, and much of the research that we've seen that's happened has come through, at least started from basic research, and sometimes private sector research has gone on top of that to expand those efforts. But the challenge that we have right now when we talk about research is that it is something that we have to do over the long run. The research that we did 10 years ago might start really paying off today. And the research we're starting today, we may not see the great breakthroughs for 10 years or more. There may be something happening today that helps someone to figure something out in the future. And one of the challenges we have in a legislative body right now is everything's very short term. If I invest this dollar today, that's spending today. What am I going to get in return for it today? And so as advocates, and when we fight for research funding for NIH, which I have fought for because I'm a big, big believer, and as Beth said, I led the letter in the House to increase NIH funding by $2 billion this fiscal year. The challenge is that people see it as something that doesn't necessarily give a return right away. And one of the things that happened when research funding was cut was that people didn't see a decrease in output, if that makes sense, right away, because we were still seeing the results from years of research before. So not only do we need to increase research to get back up to the dollars that we were investing in the past because we cut, and so this $2 billion increase is helpful, but doesn't catch us up to where we should be. And I'm pushing for another increase of another $2 billion on top of funding levels for the following fiscal year, and we'll start that right up again in the next Congress. So not only get caught up, but also that we start to increase funding because we get an incredible return on investment. And when I talk about return, I don't just mean dollar return, I mean return in terms of impact on people's lives. The other thing we have to remember when we talk about research is that it doesn't always turn out the way we expected, right? The point of research and really being innovative is that you try a lot of things and sometimes they don't work. And so we've heard in talking to scientists throughout our region in many areas, one of the concerns they have is that they feel like research is being judged, kind of funding is going to things that are considered safe, that are going to come up with a result that's considered a positive result, especially if it's government invested research has got to work. Well, sometimes the thing that didn't work the way expected actually might have been the great learning. Sometimes we learn the most from a mistake or something that didn't work right. And so I also encourage you when you talk to folks that when we talk about research, we're talking about thinking broadly and trying out new ideas, and some of those are going to be great breakthroughs and some aren't, but those collective learnings are going to be incredible results for us. And we need to, when we talk about innovation, to remember how critical that is. Research is not a spigot you can turn on and off if we don't keep the funding constant year over year over year. Scientists can't get started with their projects, which are multi-year projects. If you're in the middle of a project, it doesn't really help if your funding gets cut. You don't necessarily get to see it through. And sometimes things aren't started because they don't have the funding to see it all the way through. So constant, consistent funding is so critically important. And the discoveries that we see after these years of incremental research really have been the foundation for the work that the Vice President is doing now on the Cancer Moonshot and the incredible work there. And I'm incredibly excited that he has taken this on as a focus to start up and renew this effort in long-term investments in innovative research. Once again, that figuring out what's working and what's not working and help moving us forward. So if we're serious about breaking through, we've got to make sure we can keep the funding levels stable. We've got to make sure we increase that funding level so we're back up to the levels that we've been in the past. The other thing that Beth brought up was the 21st Century Cures Act. This is a piece of legislation that we've been working on to address some of the issues that I've been talked about. And when we talk about legislation in Congress right now, all people think of is gridlock, and there's lots of good examples of that, so I'm not surprised that you might think about that. But these are issues that are bipartisan, and so we have incredible opportunity. We have 230 co-sponsors on the 21st Century Cures Act that's in the House. It would invest an additional $8 billion into biomedical research, this is broadly in many areas. Help new scientists start careers in biomedical research, because one of the challenges we hear from new scientists is they're new and not proven. Sometimes they can't get funding because of this aversion to any risk, and so it goes to researchers who have a proven track record, but we want young new scientists to have opportunities to bring their ideas forward. And most importantly, the Cures Act would help improve our understanding of how therapies are working for patients, like many of you here. Now this bill did pass in the House with an overwhelming vote. It's in the Senate right now, so we're waiting on the Senate to see how that moves. And as Beth said, Senator Murray has been an incredible advocate and is working hard in the other Washington to make sure we get that legislation through. We'll go back into session right after, the week after the election, to get that through because we want that on the President's desk before the end of the year. The other thing I'd say as a legislator is, one, talk to your legislators. Go talk to them personally. We all have local offices. I have an office in Bothell and in Mount Vernon, and folks can come locally or they can come to Washington, D.C., but come and talk and tell your stories, because we talk a lot about statistics and numbers, but there's nothing more powerful than your story and really relating it back to people and the impact the issues are having on people, because that's really in the end what we're fighting for, and we need you to tell us those stories so that that's what we're talking about. So it's not something that gets lost just in terms of numbers, but it's about individuals and families and lives. And and legislators will make the time, but also talk to staff. Beth talked about talking to staff. We have great staff people in our office who are working hard on these issues, and if someone doesn't have time and you have a chance to talk to a staff member, talk to that staff member, just like the folks in my office are working very, very hard on these issues as well. And again, make those connections. It's been incredibly valuable for me. I know it's invaluable for my colleagues, and getting out there and having that voice is so, so important with whatever time you have, because we can always make it work. It is critically important that we support innovation and we support those breakthroughs. We have incredible, incredible opportunities in research right now. Incredible breakthroughs that we're seeing in cancer research, in precision and personalized medicine. I'm also a tech person, and with big data and all of the information out there happening right here at Fred Hutch, we're able to see that maybe one person's form of breast cancer is slightly different than someone else's, or you might have the same type of breast cancer, but you react differently than someone else because of another marker. And being able to dig through that data and mine it has been already impactful, and I think it's going to even have more great opportunities for us to come up with new therapies and cures going forward. So I think it's an exciting time. I think being able to make sure we have those resources dedicated there so we can move forward quickly, and having great organizations like we have right here in Washington State, where we are a leader and folks are working incredibly hard, will also give us incredible opportunities. So thank you for the time that you spent today, for being advocates, being loud voices, because you're also making a difference that way. I really appreciate you giving me some time. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So one thing that we did while we were on Capitol Hill is we had asked members of Congress to sign on to a letter that we are circulating to the National Cancer Institute that will ask them to explain what exactly they're doing with their money and how much is going towards metastatic disease, and to encourage them to start counting as patients, including the ones who have recurrent mets as opposed to de novo mets. And so, Congresswoman, would you be willing to sign on to that letter?
Absolutely.